We were late for the second time in the same day, and it was my fault again. Okay, to begin with, I really thought it began at 11:30, and that leaving my house at 7:30 in the morning, going to pick up my mom in Hollywood and getting us to Yucaipa by 11:15 was doing pretty well. Until my mom pointed out that actually it started at 11 a.m. Walking in last while someone was speaking sucked. We sat to the edge. There were 12 people in attendance, and it seemed like a lousy turnout, and I was kind of hoping there would be some more late attendees, but there wasn't. And then, of course, we were late the second time because I had to drive through KFC. I hadn't had time for breakfast, I was starving, it was already noon, and we still had to get to the graveside. And after all, the hearse was driving really slow, so I should have been able to catch up to it. Of course, I wasn't as late as my aunt. Lying in the open casket, I thought she would have wanted a larger crowd of admirers. She'd planned it all, and as my father had said earlier, of course she had an open casket. She always thought she looked beautiful. But she didn't. She looked like a big, empty meat sack. And there's something to be said about dying young if you want a big crowd. At 84, we were the remains of her life, and during the service, almost everyone in attendance actually got up and spoke. I told my mom to get up and talk. My mom had known her longer than anyone else in the room. When my mother was 13, Dixie married my mom's brother, and my mother's only nephew is Dixie's son. My mom had always liked Dixie, and if someone even bothered to tell us that my uncle's second wife had died, we wouldn't attend. Dixie was born in a holler in Kentucky in 1933. A one-room shack, one of 11 children. None of them were in attendance, and I don't know how many are still alive. Dixie had gotten out as soon as she could. She'd traveled the world and the country, and she'd never worked. When the service was over, we all compared notes, trying to work out who was who. I'm Bill's granddaughter. I'm Bob's son. I'm Stu's daughter. I'm Brian's niece. Dixie's husbands and boyfriends were gone, but the lives she'd touched lived on in them. She'd made Stu a better father, made Bob happy, made Bill a better friend, grandfather, and person, because honestly, up till then, he'd been a bit of a bastard. I didn't get up to speak about my aunt because the only story I could remember I could not tell to a crowd of weeping friends and relatives. I'd been 19 at the time. I'd barely known her, but I'd let her know that I was in the US and given her my phone numbers. She'd called while I was at work. It was before she gave up drinking, before she found God. It was 1 in the afternoon and she was loaded. First, she told me how Stu, her second husband, couldn't satisfy her since the prostate operation. Then she told me that as the youngest woman in the retirement community they'd moved to, she was having a lot of fun. She then proceeded to brag in detail about the affair she was having with her 82-year-old dance instructor, who was up for going at it on the washing machine while she did the laundry. But of course, Stu couldn't know. When Stu died, we went to her marriage with Bob. He looked so frail, we weren't really sure if he was going to make it up the aisle. When Bob was gone, she got engaged to Bill. He died before the wedding ceremony. She'd lost her sight a few months before she died, and she was going to the Braille Institute. She told my mom she'd met a man. She had no idea what he looked like, but he sounded good. So here I was, lost and late, and looking for a white hearse. Apparently, the hearse drove a lot faster when it hit the freeway. She was being buried with Stu in the military cemetery in Riverside. I had directions, staging area 5, but they weren't there. I saw a white hearse on the other side of a divided road, and I wondered if it was them. And then I saw another hearse, also white. Damn, I thought they were all black. How many of these things could there be? I went back to the gate, and the woman told me, oh no, sorry, I should have told you, internment area E. Of course, I didn't find it. Instead, we missed the turn and ended up in an area that was being prepared for yet more bodies of yet more soldiers. So now I was cruising around checking out perfect strangers' funeral services, like some kind of creepy drive-by funeral crasher. And finally, I saw my very tall cousin helping a very short funeral director roll my aunt across a road. We'd arrived just in time. Not last this time, just very late. And as I sat there, the preacher kept talking about how Dixie was now in heaven, reunited with her loved ones. And I found myself wondering exactly how that would work. If she was reunited with everyone she loved, it would make for some really complicated sleeping arrangements. And as a hummingbird flew down to smell my aunt's roses, we found ourselves, the few who had gathered, laughing as we remembered a woman who had enjoyed life.